Helen Chen Lu here from the Healing Place Energy School. I am so grateful that I have this opportunity to talk with you. And today I have a kick butt guest, Jessie Kodaz from Soul Purpose here in Massachusetts. And she is wonderful. I love her. She's been helping me calm down lately through the power of prayers because Jessie, you know what? I should let you introduce yourself, Jessie, because otherwise I'll be hogging my own show.
Yeah.
So Jessie, please talk about who you are.
Yeah. So hi, everybody. See if I can put this in gallery so I can see better. So I'm Jessie Kodaz. I'm the owner of the Soul Purpose in Swansea, Massachusetts. So aside from being a energy medicine practitioner and a psychic medium, I'm also an ordained minister through the Metaphysical Universal Ministries out of Allentown, Pennsylvania. That's where I studied through and or was ordained through. And that was in 2012, I believe. But I have been, studying mysticism and theology. Probably it's been a huge topic of interest for me personally my whole life. Even though I went to school for business and psychology, it's just something I've kept studying. And even I grew up personally. I grew up in a Pentecostal upbringing, and we left that when I was probably about 10, and then I've always worked with the energy of Mother Mary, even from a small child. So that's something I have a personal devotion to, and so even though that's more of a Catholic religion or dogma, which I ended up doing in my early 20s. And then through that, all of doing Reiki and getting more into a more expansive and all-embracing spirituality. But always being devoted to that Divine Mother energy kind of has led me where I'm at today.
Well, it sounds like it's a long journey, and it sounds like you have like a traditional background. Did you come from the world, business world before you decided to make? Oh yeah,
I've been the Soul Purpose been open since June of 2005. I started it in 2005, and I started part-time because I worked in banking. So I was a bank, like a mortgage loan officer for. I was in banking, I think about 12 or 13 years, and I left banking in January of 2007 to do this work full time. So I haven't looked back. The banking brain, though, keeps me grounded.
Yeah, well, I find that most of us have a very linear brain plus a spiritual brain. So and sometimes what I've noticed lately as I've grown older, the spiritual component of the brain seems to surface and push out the linear stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm quite sure that I just find it absolutely fascinating. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit about your work and how much it has helped me lately in terms of praying not only for my family, but for the planet. But and I wanted to talk to you about your prayer group, that the Rosary Interfaith group that you do every single day. It appears to be like every day you've been gathering people to do prayer. And first of all, before I ask you more questions, but I want to thank you so much for doing this, because even though I may not sit actively listening, but as I'm cooking, I'm doing the prayers with you. And I didn't not even grow up in the Catholic religion, but I find it so incredibly common to pray. So tell me, how did you decide to start up this group, and what's the feedback has been?
Oh, yeah, it's I can't remember exactly when I started the group. It was a few years back. So
Was that long?
yeah, we used to meet in person to do the rosary. So I didn't do it live in that group, but we used the group to post prayer requests. So, I have my fan page for the sole purpose, and then I created the Interfaith group because even though it's devoted to the Divine Mother, it's all welcoming for it's not dogma. You don't have to have any background, to be in the group. But because I've always worked with that Divine Mother energy, when she did come in strongly into my life, I was in my early 20s, and her message to me at that time, and I felt it so strong, was to pray the Rosary. And because I had no Catholic background, I didn't know. I knew what the Rosary was. I didn't know how to pray it. And at the time, one of my close friends taught me how to pray it at that time. And then there was my journey of I traveled to different holy sites where Mary appeared, and I had a personal Rosary devotion, and I learned that regardless of what the words say, when you pray the Rosary, that rote prayer creates a little bit of boredom while you're doing it, and in that space of boredom creates a meditative or trance-like state, for which of course is personally good for our brains and our overall well-being. Leaves space for your higher self or the divine, whatever energies you work with, to communicate or give you overall feelings of peace and well-being, receive messages. But I always had that, like, a feeling, a calling to offer that prayer or to pray with people. And so I started a Rosary group in person that would meet at the Sole Purpose on Sundays. So we did it once a week. And sometimes we had bigger groups, sometimes we'd have small groups, sometimes nobody would show up, and my daughter and I would pray. So when this pandemic happened, and everybody was having to close, or some of us had to stop working in person, or not be able to teach classes in person, and then my clientele was seeking comfort. I was getting a lot of emails and messages for guidance. I felt prompted to, okay, maybe doing it in the group live would be a good thing, to start it. And that's how it started, doing it live daily, the way you've seen it done. We've always had posted in there. We've always, as a group, communicated that way to pray. And so doing it live, the group has grown, though. So it's pretty much doubled in size in the past couple of weeks.
I can imagine. Now,
yeah.
I want to ask you, do you actually do the prayer with the rosary beads in your hands? Are you, because I see you repeating, and I see you looking down, so I'm like,
I have a book. So I know the Rosary by heart, but I do have a book. And the reason for that is it keeps me, when I pray the Rosary myself a lot, sometimes it puts me into a trance. Okay. And then I'll either pray extra Hail Marys or so the book just keeps me on track, so I don't lead all of you into going too long, or keeps me present and grounded. Yeah.
And I noticed that you always have a theme.
Yeah, that I do. Well, the Rosary has scheduled days that are universal. through the world of focusing on.
Did not know that.
Yeah, focusing on meditation. So like today's Wednesday, so we'll be doing it at 5:30 in the group, and it's what they call the glorious mysteries. So everybody around the world who prays the
At the
Rosary
same time.
focuses, or anytime today, they focus on those mysteries or those meditations. And then I do bring my own spin to it when I talk about those mysteries, which you've heard. And I do believe there's power in prayer. I know.
And what have you seen in your lifetime? What has the collective prayer, what miracles, I guess I want to call them miracles, what have you seen?
Well, one of the biggest that stands out for me, that I think kind of pushed me in the direction I'm in was, I was about 19, and she still is a very close, almost soul sister to me, a close friend that her family and my family grew up together, like siblings, and she was in a critical car accident when she was 15 and I was 19, and she was up at Mass General in a coma. And the night of the accident, we were told she wouldn't make it, that there was just too much. When they pulled her out of the car, she was crammed into a spot about this big, like she had she aside from shattered pelvis and bones, she had aspirated and hemorrhaging internally. So it was pretty much it was just an awful time for myself, my family, her family. And we were prepared to say goodbye to her that night. We were told to say goodbye to her. And in that night, she went through, it was over 50 pints of blood. They had to keep infusing blood into her. But all of us just kind of were on our knees praying.
Oh, boy.
And she made it through the night. And I remember feeling the power in that night, that it renewed, because you're a teenager, and I was in college at the time, so my focus wasn't like it is today on my spirituality.
Yeah. Well,
and
we have families now, and everybody else need us.
Right. So at that time, it renewed, that prayer. My family had left the church at 10, and kind of wasn't a big theme in my life at that time. It brought it back. And then, so what happened was, so she was in a coma for 5 weeks, all of us praying. And through that prayer, there were so many things happened. Like when they checked with a CAT scan, thinking she would be paralyzed, that it was like a millimeter from severing her spinal cord, but it didn't. So after being touch and go, they told us she would have brain damage because she was on 100% oxygen with the ventilator for too long. And one day she just woke up out of the coma, and she lives a few houses away from me now. She had 0 brain damage.
Really?
Well, yeah, it was like Mass General called it a medical miracle. They had they had 0 reason for how she survived to the level she survived. She had she had to learn how to walk because her pelvis was shattered, and she had some kidney damage, but her kidneys now are back. The only thing she has is arthritis from it. So it was a huge miracle. I saw it like bring her like the families closer together through that trauma, and it brought renewed faith to everybody. And that was it was a big turning point. That was my first time witnessing what I would call like just a full out miracle.
And how does she live that life now today in person?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because when you talk to her, she didn't have, she had physical trauma, and of course she had trauma, but she didn't have the experience we had because she was unconscious through it all.
but she survived, which I'm
But
quite
she
sure.
knew, yeah, and she had some she had some experience of knowing like her grandfather and another close friend on the other side. She had a little bit of some experience with that, but yeah, overall, like I think I forget the anniversary just went by, and she always acknowledges everybody. Yeah, still in touch even with the paramedics who rescued her at that time. It impacted everybody, but it was such a huge miracle. And since then, I've seen how the power of prayer works. One, not even just for our emotional comfort and benefit. I've seen it work with people to help with healing. You know, you see things that are pretty remarkable when it comes to group prayer.
So how have you seen it, like the group prayer? Now, this is a global prayer that I didn't realize that this was done globally, because I was wondering why you did it at different times. But
Yeah.
how do you think it's affected globally, especially now during the pandemic?
So yeah, right now, so I know, and this is more just from things I've seen in the past on Facebook, that it was mostly social media, where sometimes people get irritated when people will give their thoughts and prayers, like people are looking for action, right? You know, and I get that. So
why do they get annoyed? I'm surprised.
I think what I've seen, and I'm not referencing like me or you in particular, or I've seen some people, like, they'll think, you know, whether it's political leaders or people using that as just a way, but without taking action to help a tragic situation. So, but I feel a combination of prayer and doing and action, or things that we feel we can do personally to help, is you know, is a good thing. You know, now you see the people making masks or trying to help people who are on the front lines, but a lot of us are home quarantined, or, you know, stay-at-home orders, feeling helpless to a certain extent. And when you bind, of course, that group energy, binding together and having a focus that all of us are combined in, is really powerful. Seeing was it Saturday, they did a global meditation, which is similar to like a world prayer. And I think you saw some of the pictures I may have posted from clients that with these amazing, you know, signs in the sky, so to speak. Yeah.
And I think so many of us feel the same way, Jessie, because we are quarantined at home, and I'm constantly thinking, what can I do to reach out to help?
Right.
So I do it either through just hopefully build community through talks by inviting people to talk, plus do reflexology tips to support health. So this is my way of giving back, so we don't feel so incredibly isolated. And I enjoy, now that I have more time, I enjoy seeing groups like yours that I can participate. And now I'm like, what's a question I can ask Jessie? You know? Especially since I'm not familiar with this religious observance, and especially like today is Passover. Other than
correct,
a good holiday, and I think, what else could I do to even acknowledge today, this day in history?
Right.
And it was a very difficult time, and here we are. You know,
it's interesting. It's an interesting time for a pandemic. I most definitely, and and the Christian faith is you know, it's Holy Week. It's a Holy Week, which is, so we have which tomorrow, you know, typically in the church it starts tomorrow with Holy Thursday, Good Friday, Holy Saturday, and then Easter Sunday. So I think the prayer group is also helping people, because regardless of which religion or faith, people like to congregate in community, and we're unable to do that.
I know. I think
right now. So there's a sense of togetherness. And the comments I've been getting, or I've been getting a lot of private messages from people that are joining in, and is the biggest thing I'm hearing is the comfort
of being together like this.
Yeah, or like some people are, right now a lot of us are battling anxiety, or just from the nature of everything going on, and they don't feel alone when we're all praying together, and they feel it calms that energy down.
Yeah.
And I do believe it radiates out to the world, to those intentions we're setting, because we're praying for the people on the front lines, or the people who are sick, or the people who are scared financially right now.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of disturbance. So, I figure the best I could do for myself and for everyone is stay grounded. Grounded to the bit. Because even before coming to speak with you, I went to the supermarket and I could feel energy fluttering.
I know.
Energy is fluttering at the market. I'm like, oh man.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's intense.
Ground.
Yeah. It's intense. I know we went to the bank. I had to go to the bank, even though it was the drive up, and you could just feel the,
oh my gosh, the
angst. Yeah. It's definitely weird out there.
And then on top of it, at the supermarket, they started to put the red lines on the floor for social distancing, so that's 6 feet. And the woman in front of me kept turning around and looking at me. And of course, I get a little bit nervous. I'm going to say it like this. Being Asian, I'm more targeted than any other ethnic group right now.
Right.
So she's like giving me the stink eye like this. I'm going, why is she looking at me? Then she says politely, you need to step back. You
were over the line.
You were over the line. And I go, what line? And I looked down and said, oh man, there's the line. I'm sorry, I didn't recognize the line. So I took
it's odd, I know.
It's but again, I'm just so appreciative of these communities and coming to So what I think I'm going to do, Jessie, why don't you mention if I'm going to put your link to your group on chat that we're having. You could just, if you like to just invite people to your
you can if you would, for those watching, if you would like to, all are welcome to the group. You just, if we put the link for the group, is that what you're going to do, Helen?
Yeah, I'm going to put the link.
So if you go to the link and you would click join, and then I will get the notification and accept it. So we do pray, we do pray the traditional rosary prayers, because I've had some people, reach out to me that they might be uncomfortable with some of the words, and I'm the one praying out loud. So on your end, if you want to change any of the words, or I just keep it more traditional, because that's the way I was taught and guided through, the energy of Mother Mary that I work with. But it's for everybody. You do not have to have been Catholic. In Buddhism, and in Hinduism, they have their ways of chanting and doing mantras, and so it's similar. It's just using recited prayers. Yeah,
that's what I call it, different method.
It's a different method. Yeah,
prayers is prayer. I don't care what religion, but the bottom line is the end results. I like to think of it as the same, regardless whichever tool you use to get there.
Yeah, they have done, I will mention that they have done studies about how prayer impacts the human brain. And it does shift the brain waves, and over long-term prayer, like meditation, it can rewire the brain to be wired to be more positive, or, less focused on our traumas, how trauma works in the brain. And it will boost the overall immune system because of that. So I always say right now is a good time to kind of pull out all those tools.
Yeah, definitely. And we need all the serotonin we could get.
Yes, most definitely. Yeah.
But anyways, Jessie, I want to thank you so much for this
Yeah.
time. I enjoyed
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, and we're going to have to do this
fun.
again.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah.
So I wish everyone well. Everyone take care of each other, come together as a community, and we'll talk to you real soon. And then I think on Good Friday, we're going to have Cinia Nelson. She's a kick butt goddess. I never know what Cinia is going to talk about. And then on Saturday, we're going to have Quarantine Saturday, where we're just going to hang out. Whoever wants to drop in to let us know how you're doing. So this is Helen. And Jessie, thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
I will talk to you soon. Be well, everybody.